angle.
Wait, are you saying you want to fly?
Well, maybe?
But you're an egg.
Yeah, I know, but I could wear a helmet or something.
Oi, Tess! Stop putting the bloody decorative pebbles up your nostrils! Look, Daz, I just don't think eggs are meant to fly, mate. Ow! Tess, what did I just say?
Oopsie.
Flight simulator, where you can fly anywhere you can dream of, as long as you are not an egg. Please verify that you are not an egg.
Melanie, do you reckon I can have a go at flying your kite?
I don't know, Daryl. Isn't it illegal for eggs to fly or something?
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know, but I wouldn't actually be flying myself. I would just be, you know, holding your
Oi,
kite,
babes. Is this egg bothering you? Because I'll end him if he is.
No, sorry, I was just...
Oh my god, that's like so romantic.
Melanie, your kite.
Oh, wow.
All right, Humpty Dumpty. Do you know why you're here?
I tried to fly.
You try to fly. And do you know what happens when eggs try to fly?
They have fun.
This is the third time this year you've tried something like this. What's going on, Daryl? Look, you're a good guy, Daryl. I'm gonna let you off with a warning. But this is the last time, okay? You should really get some help, mate.
Egg. A vessel for housing tiny embryonic life forms that have evolved over millions of years to live in complete symbiotic harmony with one another. But can eggs fly? Yes, I think they can.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Inside Unreal, a show where we learn, explore, and celebrate everything Unreal. I'm your host, Tina, and today with me, I have some of the incredible team behind the game The Midnight Walk. I could go on about this personally for forever. I am just personally quite a huge fan of this project, and there's so much to dig into. There's a lot of really unique ways of approaching the engine and just making a game in general that I'm really excited to dig in with these folks. But to give a little bit of context, in case anyone is unfamiliar with the game, we're actually going to go ahead and roll the trailer for it so you can get an idea of what we're going to talk about today. We'll do that now.
Dreadful was the day when the sun vanished. The waters dried up, birds went quiet, and the dark itself seeped unchecked into the work table. The night that followed would be long. As long as the midnight walk.
How could this happen? Oh, the flame warms the righteous, but the wicked, the flame burns with a passion.
What is the dark? Is it ugly and cruel? Is it a place for fools lost in the woods?
This little flame, keep them nurtured and safe through the rain, in the dark, and over Moon Mountain.
The dark itself is the key. All it needs is a little spark, but I get what I need. The sun away.
PlayStation.
Oh my God. I have chills again just from watching it. It is such a cool project. Ugh. Anyway, I will refrain from fangirling too much at the beginning of this, but I want to go ahead and get into doing some introductions of the team that is here with us today. So to start us off, Klaus, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Klaus Linglet. I am the founder and game director on MoonHood at MoonHood. Also want to mention that Olav Riedmalm is also one of our founders and game directors. He's not here tonight, but you'll see a bit in the video in him soon. Yeah, I've been working with games for actually 30 years now, which is kind of insane. So I started out in the 90s working on the home computers, a pixel artist, and then went on from working a bit in the US and then starting my own company 20 years back. I started a company called Zoink, which made a lot of different creative projects. And I think one of them you might know is maybe Lost and Random was one of the last ones we did with Zoink. And then that grew into an even bigger company. And then I decided like, okay, this is too big for me. And it went through like this whole IPO thing. I was in charge of 160 people and I wasn't creative anymore. So I decided, okay, I'm going to step away from this and I'm actually going to start a small creative company again. And that's MoonHood. So yeah, it's a very, very short version of 30 years of fun.
Yeah, definitely hard to condense
Yes.
several decades of experience into a few sentences, but
Yeah.
very excited to have you here. And thank you so much for taking the time to do so.
Thanks.
Next up, we have Matthias. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself as well?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was the lead technical artist on the project, which was very interesting and a few challenges. But yeah, I've been 3D artist for almost as long as Klaus has been doing games. We actually worked together, I think 25 years ago, making an animated short film. That's when we got to know each other. So
It was
yeah,
a fun project.
Yeah, and looking forward to talking more about the project.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you as well for being here. Next up, we also have Zhao. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself as well?
Yes, hello everyone. Name's Zhao. I haven't been around for as long as Matthias and Klaus, for sure.
Good for you.
For this yeah, not sure if I'm looking forward to it. No, I'm kidding. But no, I'm generalist programmer for this project and also VR lead. which was quite challenging. I'm sure you know, game is hybrid, both pancake mode and VR, so felt like making 2 games at the same time at some points.
Yeah,
that is me.
absolutely. So many struggles there that I definitely have a lot of questions for you about, but we'll save them for now. And then last but certainly not least, we also have Ola. Do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself as well?
Yeah, hello, my name is Ola. I'm the lead programmer and also the lead sound designer or audio designer on this project. I also go way back with Klaus, actually. I worked, I don't know if that was your first company, maybe? Second company, UDS, back in 1996. We did games for PlayStation 1 back then. As a programmer, and then I've been working as a programmer, and also I'm a musician, very fond of audio, and then I took a break a couple of years ago from the whole game industry and programming stuff. So I had my own live sound company. So I was touring with a lot of bands as a live audio engineer and stuff like that. And then I ended up here at MoonHood.
This is awesome. I love hearing the breadth of experience across the whole team here. This is fantastic. Again, thank you all so much for taking the time to be here today and to talk about this really unique and really fun project. I know that we did have an additional studio trailer that kind of gives a little bit of context about the studio as well, right?
Yeah, I was thinking it would be good to show, because the way we started the company was very specifically, and in the beginning of we just started out the company. I couldn't really talk about the specific, because there's a lot of secrecy around the project itself. But we wanted to share with everybody like what we were doing and what the studio was about. So we put this, me and Ola put this like studio trailer together, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to see it. It's a couple of years old now, so we look a little bit younger probably, but it's and at that time we couldn't really talk about exactly what kind of game we were doing, that we were working with PlayStation either. So you'll notice that in the video. But yeah, you should definitely run this one. It's fun to see.
Hello, hi, and welcome to our new studio, MoonHood. At our previous game company Zoink, me and Olo here used to create story-driven games such as Lost and Random and Ghost Giant. And at our new company, we want to keep doing what we're great at, but a little differently this time. Lost in Random, we had a lot of fun creating the art style and trying to capture the feel of a giant miniature world. But with MoonHood, we thought, why not actually create the game in real clay this time? So here at our studio, we're not just game designers and programmers. We actually hired a team of talented sculptors and miniature painters. Working in this organic medium is sending us down a new creative path that's a lot grittier and sort of more poetic than anything we've ever done before.
There's something special about crafting tangible characters. The style and texture of clay give them their own unique appeal. I've been working with sculptures for years, wondering how to bring that special look into video games. So when I found an easy way to 3D scan these sculptures, well, that was it.
Clay was the way to go. MoonHood's new game is coming to console and PC, but you can also choose to play it in VR. We're happy to announce that we're partnering with our publisher Fast Travel Games to make this a reality. You know what? We're also super excited to announce that we're partnered with on this game. Wow, that's pretty cool. Next time, we'll be ready to show you what the game and the world we're building really is about. Until then, we're showing a lot of our progress on social media, so please give us a follow.
Oh, those two fools forgot the most important part. Sign up for our newsletter. Now go. Goodbye. Shoo.
So cute. I do love the little top secret redacted.
Yeah.
Nice addition. Nice addition. But yeah, that is such great kind of background context, yeah, of the overall project and the studio as well. But I'd also love, if you don't mind, just kind of giving an overview of what is the Midnight Walk? What is this project overall? The story behind it and those kinds of things. I'd love to just kind of dive right in.
Yeah. I think it's a really strange way the way the project started, because it was really I quit the company that I was working with, and went home and thought I was gonna be just like an artist or something like that. So I started making sculptures again, which I like to do in my spare time, but I was just spending a lot of time doing that. And then I started creating all these different characters. And after a while, I of course realized I could scan them, and I started putting together a prototype. And I was going to actually at some point also today show you maybe the original prototype, which is actually in Unity. So we switched to Unreal after. So, but what's been interesting about it was that I actually just created all these characters, and I had one specific character which was like this little, which ended up being Potboy, which is this little character with a fire on his head. And I was like thinking about like quite early on, I knew that we were going to do. I wanted to do a VR hybrid, and PSVR 2 was coming out, and I knew there was like the PlayStation were looking for projects that could be done in that way. So there's obviously funding from them, which was interesting too for us to get the company started. And I always thought that if you play a game that's in first person or VR, it's good to have some kind of character with you. I'm very used to designing games where there's a character, a third person player or something like that, was a character in front of you. But in this game was like you're just yourself. So I wanted to have some kind of character that comes with you. So the idea was really, what if you had this little fire character with the fire on his head going along with you on this trip? And it kind of started like that, but then I started talking to Ola, which was still at Zoink at that time, and we started thinking about how we're going to put the story into that, and working around what is the game about and how does it work. And quite early on, we thought like it would be just really nice to travel through a world and walk through this world. And that's why kind of like, what if it's just like this road that you have to walk through? You have to follow it, and it just pulls you into these different stories. Because I mean, at Zoink, because also with MoonHood, we really want to work with stories and character design. We really love that. We're pretty good at that, we think, you know. So we wanted to see if we could put in like 5 little sort of fairy tales inside this game, and that's what it ended up being. It's basically you, kind of like the yellow brick road, you know, walking through the world, and you get pulled into these mini stories. And the idea is really that everything has something to do with fire, because you bring this little character with you on the road. And it can be like, you know, fire is warmth, it's heat. It can also be very dangerous in some ways, you know. So there's a sort of like two things to it, or many layers to it, of course. And Olaf did an amazing job writing the story around this and putting everything together. So sometimes I had characters that I had created, I didn't even know what it was, and then we just talked about it and we sort of merged it into the story. So it was very fun, creative collaboration for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else I'm thinking of? Yeah, and I think that's pretty much it. I mean, Midnight Walk is really, yeah, it's just like it's what we call cozy horror game, you know. So we want it to be a horror game, but we wanted to have a lot of heart into it. So it's really like we wanted to have a story, we wanted to have this cuteness to it, but also we want the really scary parts of it. So I love the way that we're trying to play in with contrasts here, you know. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
can personally attest that there are parts of the game that are genuinely so scary.
Yeah. Some
Also
of the characters are
incredibly
freaky.
endearing too.
Yeah. I'm super happy with how everything turned out. We are all, I think, very, very proud of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's good to hear that people still get scared, because you get numb at some point, play the game over and over again. Like you just don't get
Yes.
scared anymore.
Yeah.
I can
Very true.
promise several times the game had to be put on pause.
Cool. Especially in VR, for sure.
Yeah, I remember when the crawler sounds came in. I was like jumping out of my chair, like suddenly, like, brah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Which is actually the one of the other main points that I really wanted to dig in with y'all too is this was handcrafted clay for all of the visuals, or a vast majority of the visuals, I
No,
imagine.
actually, yeah. So we basically started up. It's always kind of like a rule in the way that everything that's put in the game had to be somehow created in real first. So even down to like tile textures that are on the ground, we would actually create these kind of little slabs of clay, and then we'd sort of paint them, and then we'd have some amazing digital artists who then took that after it was scanned and then turned it into a tile texture. So we use that a lot, and like even stuff like a hint note or something like that, like all the hint notes you'll see in the game, these paper hint notes, they're actually something that I painted in ink and scanned, so everything in there. Right now, I think for this game, we have over 700 models. And that's everything from, actually, I could share my screen. I could show a little bit of what we have.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see this right now. Here's a lot of different photos, of course, of all the different models, but it can be anything from, I think this is actually from our studio, which you saw a little bit inside the video. Is we have a problem that we don't have room for everything. So I had to buy a lot of these, adding more and more to these closets everywhere. But it can be anything from like a small brick, or to a giant house, or skill texture, or a piece of a carpet. We ended up buying these like miniature carpets too that we scanned. The idea is really that you do really feel that it's a miniature world that you're stuck inside, which is kind of part of also the horror part of it, is like it feels like freaky that you're inside a small set and stuck in there. So we do also really love that there's a lot of sort of fingerprints and everything, that you really see that there's textures to it. If I can show a couple more here. Here's of course the original Potboy. You'll see that's actually the one of the first models we also did. So I think like I had 4 or 5 characters, and he ended up being just like that in the game. We didn't change anything. We just kept him. And he's been traveling all around the world now. He's been to San Francisco twice, actually, for a couple of pitch meetings. So he's seen a lot. And this is the Mulgrim, which is I'm also really fun is that this model is about, what is it? How big is it? Can it be like 20 centimeters, maybe? A little bit more than that, But in VR, she's about like 5 meters high or something like that, So it's really cool that you see like the fingerprints are like huge, and we I really still love that you can sometimes see some really fun mistakes in the game. Like you would end up seeing, pieces of glue or some kind of, here's actually a picture of some of the tile textures you can see here.
Oh, that's
So
so cool.
Yeah. But there's a lot of weird mistakes that you find in there. Like I think there's a giant whale that I built, and under that one you can see still a crossword because it was built in papier-mâché and we never painted the bottom of it. So if somebody turns the whale around, you can actually see the crossword from the newspaper.
I love that.
So yeah, and it's some of the characters that we did. I don't know if I have a picture of this one here. Yeah, this one, for example. This one, I think it took like me 2 hours to do. It was really quick. It's just like this clay that you slab up and put directly on. And I think the way it ended up looking inside the game itself, let's see if I have a screenshot of that. I might have one here. Oh, my mouse is being a bit weird. There you go. So this is actually what it looks like inside the game. So you can see stuff that you think look, not so detailed, or there's not that many colors to it. Once you scan it and you get into the game and this lighting is put on, it really pops out. And I think it's one of the best characters in the game, actually one of the prettiest ones looking, because it really looks like clay and you really see that's a real model. So I think that's quite important to us, that it feels like it's a real model. So it shouldn't be too clean. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, being as vague as possible to not give anything away of the story, I feel like all of the different characters very much fit the narrative for the segments of the game that they're included in as well. Like this one being so deconstructed feeling really works for the story that you were telling at that point too.
Yeah. And we try to almost sort of like at a meta level built in that there's somebody who crafted this world, and it's part of the clay structure to it, and there's a lot of really fun layers that Ulo plays with in the story. So yeah. What else can I show here? But the other thing that I thought was, yeah, go
I
ahead.
found a clay doll animation here.
Oh, right. Cool. Let's have a
Yeah.
look.
Awesome. Let's.
Do you want to share your screen instead, or?
Am I not sharing my screen?
I would say also the other thing that was really, oh, cool. There you go. Yeah, that's one of Kenneth's animations, isn't it? Yeah. I'm not sure that one ended up in the game, did it?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a test. Yeah.
I also had to add that Klaus also forced us programmers to do everything by hand. So we wrote all the code on paper and then we had to scan it.
Yeah, I mean, no, it was these like print cards, a little old school programming.
Ola has been around for a while, so he was already used to it. So he taught us how to do it, and it was quite quick.
What's it called? Those cards? The cards with those little holes in, and you fill it in. I can't remember. Yeah.
I can't remember.
Kort in Swedish, whole cards.
Yeah, whole cards.
Yeah.
My wife's mom said, I was actually a programmer once. It's like she programmed that. Like, okay.
That's actually much cooler than what we do now.
Yeah. Oh, there's the whale. If you look under the whale right now, turn this one around. There you go.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's funny.
That's such a fun Easter egg, though.
And we don't really see it in the game, but we were playing around with it for our next game, and we were using something for a test, and I had it like flying through there, and I was like, "Oops, okay, I can see that now." I would say the other thing that's fun, if you switch back a little bit to my screen again, is that it's just been really fun to take other objects than just clay. I mean, not just clay, but we took like an old coffee grinder and we turned that into a house, for example. We also took, I think it was some old pots and stuff like that. Basically, I went out to all these kind of different. See if I can find that one again. Went out to different sort of like flea markets and found fun stuff that we could change. Here are actually the matchboxes that are in the game. So there's 2 different types of matches that you can pick up. So in the game, you can pick up these matches that you can light the world with, but you can also light up Potboy with it. So we ended up I think we even have like our own language in the game. So this actually says something here on the cookie jar. So I'll let you figure that one out yourself.
Oh no. You're wrapped in this puzzle forever.
Yeah. This one is also pretty funny. We bought like some really nice ceramic sort of stuff, and then we smashed it in pieces, and then we glued it back together again, and then we painted it and stick stuff on it. So there's really a lot of fun stuff you can do with this way. So, and a lot of it is also built in cardboard. So you'll see. Like this is pretty much just cardboard, and you can do a lot of fun things with turning cardboard inside out and painting in different ways. I found these Second World War newspapers, original newspapers from the Second World War, and I feel kind of bad about it because I ripped them apart and used them to decorate pieces with. So you have like weird messages in Swedish, basically, on some of the houses about what happened in Ukraine. There was problems in Ukraine there at that time too, but different stuff, of course. So yeah, these also done in paper.
Wow.
Yeah. What else?
I love how many different, because I think it's easy for maybe folks to just glance at it and be like, oh, it's clay, which, not to dismiss that that's an easy thing to do in and of itself in the first place, but there's a lot of different materials and art forms that you ended up taking, all of them in actual media.
Yeah, and it's so fun, and I really encourage people to do this. It's really fun because you start with clay and you think, well, what if we put this in, and you start merging things together. This one, for example, is like, this is of course fabric here. So we found a way to dip fabric in glue, and then we sort of wired around, and it was a really fun way to do it. These are the ragdolls in the game, and this one is like this is an upside down little pot, I guess. I found it from Flata. So it's done in metal in a way, and here's some matches on its back and a leather band, and then we scan that all together. So there's a lot of there's so many things to explore, and we're still exploring that because that's how we're going to continue with MoonHood. MoonHood is really we are the art man or the studio like of video games. Or at least that we aspire to be that. So like we're going to continue making games this way.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that.
Here's also another one. There's actually a little kid from flat out on top of its head. This character is actually not in the game, unfortunately. And here's one. I think you'll see this one in the game. It's actually original camera from the 1920s that we took, scanned it, and put legs on. This is not the final version, I think. There's actually a bit more details to it now. These are little characters that walk around and project stuff inside the game. Yeah.
God, I love this. I also love, obviously, from playing it, seeing the scale of these and how they might differ, because I'd love to know a little bit more about how you experimented with that, because I'm sure this character in, its actual modeled version that you made is very different in the scale of the world that you ultimately put it in. And how do you make those kinds of decisions?
I think the idea was really that it's kind of felt after a while that we set like a size to the world that's depending on, like, if we took in a book in the world, we would scale it up. So it felt like it really should feel like you're about 20 centimeters high in the game. Like it should feel like you're a miniature person inside this world. So everything had to every real objects that I put in the game, like objects that we recognize. Like we had some like the coffee grinder or this kettle house. We also have like some huge old-fashioned typewriters. If we put those in there, then we scale them up. And that's also, again, to give a feel that the world is really a miniature world and you're stuck inside this miniature set in a way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And it does feel that way. I feel like it's consistent with my experience for playing it, definitely. Feeling like that sense of scale kind of was that intentional of trying to make the player feel
small?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely, yeah. I think it adds to the horror of it. Like I said before, it really does feel I'm obviously a big fan of like stop motion movies and sort of things like that. And I think a little bit inspired, of course, by the movie called Mad God. If you ever see that one, if people want to see something really freaky, check that out. It's a stop motion movie that he's called Phil Tippett, I think is the guy's name is, who worked on it for like 30 years or something like that. It's a crazy thing. But it has that feel to it where the stop motion part, I think, can feel very eerie and weird. And if you feel like you're small inside a stop motion set, then it's even scarier. There's a giant in the game also, so we thought, like, why not just build it as a giant model? So we built it almost like a human size here.
That's the one you scared your kids with, right?
Yeah. I actually had it in my basement for a while, and everybody had to go down to the bathroom. They're like, this weird thing standing there. The other thing that was kind of cool about having them in real size like this is that we could we did some puppet stuff with them too. So this one could actually be puppeteered. So we puppeteered them, recorded that, and Olaf edited together these like little sort of short stories that are then projected up on buildings inside the game. So it was a really fun way, since we have the real models, we could actually record the real models and use them that way. So we had I think it was me and Victor Becker, who is the art director. We had to put on like these black jumpsuits and run around and puppeteer them at the same time as all of us recording them. I'm not sure I have some videos of that. Hopefully not.
Don't you have a picture of you in a black jumpsuit? I want to see it.
I know. No, unfortunately, I don't.
Oh, gee.
How convenient.
I'll see if I have something. I'm not sure. Actually, this one, that's actually a shot from the video itself. As you can see here, we had black background. And somewhere behind here, I'm lurking around in a black jumpsuit. Yeah, that was really fun. And it was a cool way to be able to use it,
Oh, that is
I
awesome.
think So like, yeah, I started out using a Polycam, which is like an iPhone app, scanning the characters, and that was obviously one of the first things to really figure out, could this hold? Does it work well once we put it in? Does it look okay? And this is here you can see what the scan actually looks like. So this is me running Polycam directly in the web browser. So this is the original scan of Potboy. So you can see it comes out really well. I think we talked a lot about that, Matthias, about how what happens, and you develop some really cool materials, because once you get too close to it, it does start falling apart, the texture.
Yeah, I mean, and also with the scans, when you do photogrammetry, you get really nice textures, but the high-res mesh is not super crisp. So we actually ended up using the base color for pretty much all. We had one like a quarter resolution normal that was the baked from the high-res to the game res, but then we did a Luma normal from the just Luma of the base color to get the kind of high frequency detail. And then we also set up a kind of detail map structure with a packed map that contained like a tiling normal and a roughness variation and a color variation that we could use to kind of map out color variations. And yeah, I actually have a example on my screen here.
And I would say that also, I know that a lot of people, there's ways to scan this better. There's like, if you lose, we're just using an iPhone, but the thing about it is like, once you use like a real camera, once you set up on a different computer and you have your own program, suddenly we're a small company, we're a small team, so we had a lot of models. So for us, it was really about finding a way to do it quick. So I think we found a good balance there. We are experimenting with some other scanning programs right now, but it does take a lot more time. And once it starts to take a lot of time to scan it, then you end up just time is money. We can't really afford it. We thought, oh, let's do it this way. It goes quick, and we get what we need for the game.
Yeah, but we also save a lot of money since you're using cardboard. That's not very expensive.
That's true. No, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I make my own glue also, So.
Oh, very, very crafty. Oh my gosh. Well, this is insane, being able to directly see how it goes from the real live models that you made and scanned in. And I'm also very curious about that process of getting it from the traditional form that it's in into a game. Because obviously we've seen things like stop motion films and things like that, which are very time consuming and difficult to do. And then translating those same concepts to a full 3D space that can be explored from all different kinds of angles and stuff. That's a huge task. Very curious about that whole process.
Yeah, actually, we same process there. Since we had lots of models and a small team, we had to make it quick. And the fastest way, I mean, a lot of times it only took 20 minutes from the scan came back from Polycam until we had it in the game ready for level artist. And we did mostly it was the low res and UV we created in ZBrush using zero measure and sometimes decimation master. But zero measure, when I use that and also really project back to the to get the contours, and then UV master, because zero measure does quads and UV master likes that. So that's in my opinion, still the best way to get the non-stretchy textures. And so and simple asset. It's just a few clicks, and of course, the only automation there was setting up a UI, load, save, and do the stuff. And then I set up a tool in Houdini that could kind of bake the high-res, read the high-res textures and kind of write them to the game res UV set. And so I had little tool in Houdini to do plug in the low res and the high res and click the buttons, and then you're done. And then we use like the base color, because the base color was the best, the kind of albedo map was the best source of detail. So if you kind of look at the highlights here on the side, if it shows, I don't know.
Yeah, I can see it a little bit.
Yeah, because in my opinion, I mean, one of the things that really separate nice textures from bad or materials is that you have this kind of roughness variation, in my opinion. And since we had the most detail in the base color, we used that to I just used a kind of remap node. Some people had a lot of problem with my I'm really bad naming parameters, but they do work. So kind of just kind of finding the range of the base color that holds the most detail, and then mapping that out to your like desired roughness values. And same for like specular, to get it like really crisp, to kill the speck in the matte areas. So. And yeah, I mean, so I don't know what to say more about that. I mean, of course, some models are more complicated. I mean, like this one will not auto UV in any way, like easily. So some models, of course, took a few hours or even days because you had to like kind of separate them, group them up, and do whatever. But I really like ZBrush, and the other artists also use ZBrush confidently. So a lot of ZBrush, some Houdini. I mean, as we talked about fire before, we also did like we simulated did real like fluid simulations and baked them out to vertex animation textures that we then kind of looped in the blueprint and had different starts and endings and what we needed. But we had like lots of challenges with the fire because different size of fire looked different. So, and I have to like, at least in 5.3, ribbons in Niagara are really slow, I have to say. So we actually ended up using skeletal meshes. The initial concept of the kind of match flame was a ribbon, but it's way too slow. So we ended up using a skeletal mesh and a control rig on top of it to get the kind of physical feeling to it.
We had this kind of bigger fire, but we also had a small flame on the candles, of course, and then Potboy's fire. So there's a lot of different types of fires that you had to work out. Of course, yeah. But I mean, and of course the matches the fire itself on that, how it was reacting. I thought that you did an amazing job on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Control Rig. I was at Unreal Fest and I went to all the Control Rig talks. But yeah, I mean, Control Rig is really good, and I have a lot of fun with it. I think even if you don't mind, I can play the crawler procedural.
Yes,
because I really like it.
So we don't forget about that. But I do also want to talk about the materials a little bit later. But we can talk about that after.
Materials.
That was pretty interesting. Yeah, this is insane.
It's actually a fully 3D, so it can walk upside down and crawl corners. I don't have the final version of the game. Actually, this one is from like 5 months before, but it's still pretty good. And it's kind of crazy. But like we mentioned before, we didn't have time to create a 3D nav mesh. But Zhao set up a really nice controller that could do this stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole goal for this controller was to have it actually recorded. And we do have that tool made and everything, but was to record the movement of the crawler for cutscenes, and we could just record it in real time, kind of like how Matthias is doing it here in third person. But he never made it to the game. But
I still think the control rig, the way it is in the game right now, it really helps a lot. Just when so these are the characters that usually chases you around the sort of more scarier parts of it, kind of like a more generic enemy. But like the first time you meet them, you can really see how they're putting their feet the right way and they're crawling over the little rocks and pieces on the ground. there's no really cutting through or clipping with the feet itself, and that's obviously quite hard when you have a four-legged creature like that, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Four legged
Actually,
and not a capsule as well. I mean, that's why we went with a full custom controller there as well, because not making a capsule or making something move that's not a capsule is just incredibly hard immediately.
yeah, and there's
Yeah.
obviously a lot of tools for bipeds, you know. But as soon as you go higher than bipeds, it's you have to make your own.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, 4 legs, and then on top of that, the tail appendage too, that is very, very flicky. I can't think of the right word for it, but there's a lot of movement in there. It's
Yeah.
very flexible and unnerving,
Yeah.
honestly.
Actually, it does. This one is a bit old, so it does some clipping. We solved some issues with that later, but I mean, we tried the control, physics control, but we also had to back down from that, unfortunately, to have some, have it react to collisions and stuff, other stuff. But I mean, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, we did a lot of testings, different methods and stuff with this.
Yeah.
Actually, the first one I did completely in control rig, but then for various reasons, like at that time I couldn't write custom attributes to control rig, so to get the proper foot plant timing and positions, we later had to do all the traces and that stuff in the blueprint or in the character blueprint and pass that into the control rig. But you can actually make a complete. I think now you can write custom attributes from control rig, and you can do the whole thing in control rig, which is nice. But this one became a hybrid. But we also piped in actually. One thing I really like about control rig is that it can accept animations or that you can really have. Let's see if I have it. Animation blueprint. I don't have version control, so it's complaining all the time. So yeah, animation graph. Let me see. Yeah, so here we have like a regular state machine doing all its stuff, and then we pipe that into the control rig. So it's actually getting animation because we found that it became a really nice mix of the kind of hand animated stuff. That's just like so I'm just increasing the speed of the walk animation, but it's not kind of using the foot placement of that. That's done by the control rig, but that gives kind of a creepy feel to it.
Yeah.
And I mean, here it is. It's not. I can't play with now, unfortunately, like doing this stuff because it's locked into gameplay mode. But I mean, developing this one was really fun, and I think the biggest challenge was interpolating the up vector all the time and having because it's reacting to the placement of the feet, but you can't make the cycle too fast. You have to kind of have some resistance in it to not make it like flick around all the time. But that was fun. Yeah.
Matthias is a really good animator too, so you know how to
Thank
do
you,
this.
Klaus.
Yeah.
No, I want to be. I'm just too lazy to keyframe now. I only do it when I have to. So when it's easier, like sometimes when people do a physics simulation of a coin or something, I just no, just keyframe it.
Yeah. Do you have I was thinking of that because we did the same for Housey. The house that walks around.
Housey.
And Darkhead as well, right?
If not, I have actually an old video of that too.
Yeah, I could try like an unprepared thing here.
See if you can pull that. If not, I can show the one I have.
Yeah.
You're such a daredevil, Matthias.
Yeah. Can't be afraid to fail. Housey.
I hope it blows up.
Yep.
Very brave of you.
Yeah, and
So
we have to set it in record mode.
It's kind of like you find this house on the way, and it starts following you, and it becomes sort of like your home. that goes along with you on your trip down the Midnight Walk. So it's like our version of I don't know.
I think this one has the stretchy legs issue.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
You
I
like
have a video here. Hold on,
I love that.
The sounds are good, but
if
I
you
have an
switch
issue
to
with the legs here. Like
if
this
you
was 5 months before release, so it's
I don't know how old this one. I have a version that I got a video
yeah,
here I
show
can
Klaus
show.
version instead.
I did like that version too, though, just to make sure that we're all clear here.
I just love the way Housey looks so like it's like really carefully walking, like it's really scared.
Yeah, it was really fun to do the adaptation because I made the crawler first, and it's kind of aggressive and all this, and Housey was a lot more like cautious, and also it's standing like with almost stretched legs in the kind of default position, so it can only take like tiny steps.
Did you remember we have a part in the game where it stretches even more, so it sort of it lifts itself over the there's a wall in the beginning of the game where it sort of moves up and goes down again.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cute. I mean, it's so cool to see how just with a really rough ground like that, how it attaches to each little piece of the environment.
Yeah.
That's very cute.
We had to do complex traces, of course.
Of course. I do love that each character feels like its own character. The animations are so unique per creature that it really helps sell their personality, right alongside how unique each of their own designs are as well. And I'm curious, if was all of the animation done just like afterwards, or did you actually move around the models to try and figure out, well, how does it feel for this character to move? Or was that something that you figured out purely in the 3D space later?
I'm not sure I totally understand, but I mean, I think these are the only two characters with the procedural animation, isn't it? There's no, I can't remember actually.
Yeah.
It's only these two.
I mean, we did the stuff mostly. I mean, the source animation was I think Lucas did the kind of walking stuff, and Alan did the crawler base, but that's traditional keyframe animation. So we didn't do any like stop motion. The characters, except for the big one, the puppeteer thing, they're all kind of static, you know, the models. So we had to like do the regular stuff and put bones in them to move them.
Yeah. So it's pretty much scanned, of course, and retopolized and all that stuff you'd usually do, and then rigged as a normal character. So none of it is, if that's what you meant, none of it is like is actually stop motion. You know, it's really just like traditional. But Lucas, who's an amazing animator, he really found this really cool way of animating it, so it feels like stop motion, but it isn't all the time. Because if you just do it on, I think it's called on twos, isn't it, Matthias? On twos, is that what you say?
Yeah, he was working a lot with like stepped keys and kind of not doing so much interpolation, but rather like, you know, poses like that can stay for a few frames and then it kind of moves to the next one.
So it's kind of like a mix of step and actually, so it's a mix of those. So it feels like stop motion, but it's not, because if you do it too jittery, especially in VR, it looks kind of weird in a way, you know. So I think he found like a really sort of stylized, a stop motion stylized animation, you know.
Yeah, actually, in the Illusion of Life, the kind of animation bible that all animators keep, they did, you know, the action sequences, the fast moving stuff they did on twos, so like each frame double exposed stays longer, and for like slow moving stuff, they actually do full frame rate, so they kind of counterintuitive, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Inside Housey.
Yeah, that's Inside House. I was thinking of that when you showed house. So this is inside your house if you go in there. So it's cool.
This is awesome. I'm curious, because there's a lot of very unique creatures in the game, right? I'm curious which one was maybe the most difficult to finalize.
I think we just looked at it. I think it's the crawler. The one Matthias had, that was really complicated.
Code-wise crawler for sure.
Yeah. I think the I forgot the name that we use. The grinners. So it's so funny when you develop a game because you throw something into the game and then you give it a first name, which was Dark Heads, I think it was. It was like
I was just calling them Dark Heads now, actually.
Yeah. But it's actually, I don't know if you remember the characters that open up your face like that. It was kind of like they could open and close your face. I don't know if I have a picture of them here, but then the trail. So I think that's the one that turned out the best, and it came out quite late. Say that that one has procedural animation too.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can play it.
And that one worked out so really well because they're quite often going around in tight spaces.
Yeah, I can play it.
Yeah, cool. Let's have a look. Oh, nice. Yeah. So what happens when they're in tight spaces with there's a lot of walls, that they put like little legs up on the walls, and it looks really nice because you're down there. It's kind of like 3 meters higher or something like that. So they're quite spooky. And what they can do is they can sort of open up their face, and behind the mask there's a really.
I should get a button for that.
Yes, you should. Yeah, I can show it here. But
Let's see if I have the animation.
They look pretty freaky.
They do. I'm curious, did the clay model have the inside of it too? And then
I even have I think if you zoom in on the side, actually, you'll see that there's a little hinge on it. So I got like real hinges on it, and the clay model can open up and close like that.
Very
I don't know if, I'm not sure it's in the skin. Yeah, let's show them they open their faces first.
Yeah, let's see if we can find it.
Yeah.
Arcade open idle. Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty freaky. I love the way he moved the eyes. They're really wobbly. He put these little,
dude.
Yeah.
Hello.
And the sound of
deeply
these are really
unsettling, which is a high compliment, I'm sure.
Actually, if you zoom in inside there, you can see there's actually real hinges. There's metal hinges.
Yeah.
That I scanned too.
Yeah, this one works in the physical version actually works.
Yeah,
It
exactly
opens
the
and
same.
closes. Yeah.
That's so cool. Horrifying too. Like, let's be clear.
Move it from the screen, Matthias. It's enough. It's horrifying.
I started looking at the detail map here.
Yeah, I was gonna say that because one of the things I was really nervous about when we started the project was that because of course every time you scan a model, I mean in Lost and Random, the previous game we did, we had like texture. What's it called? Texture. What's it called? Like basically when you have like little sets of textures that you can tile everywhere and use on different objects.
Yeah, like tiling textures.
Yeah, but more like you make a specific sort of set that you can use for different places, not just tiling.
Atlas.
Yeah,
trim
Atlas.
sheets.
Yeah, and trim sheets. Yeah, exactly. And this one, really, every object has individual textures that are just like unwrapped, and it was a big thing. Like how can it run with all those textures? It's going to be a problem, and so on. And but because we're running on a PS5 mainly, and of course on high-end PCs, it just streamed it right off, and then quickly we found out it worked okay, I would say.
Don't forget I reduced like 15 gigs of textures in the last month.
I don't want to hear about that.
Or 25 maybe even.
Yeah.
But we went over all the textures also because they were all like coming in 8K, 4K and 2K. So depending on the quality of the scan. So there's no control for it really if you do the raw download. But then pretty much just look through the textures, and if they don't hold information, to the full resolution, just scale it down. So we actually scaled down without losing quality because, like the baked normal maps, for instance, we could do like quarter resolution without losing any detail.
And then the other thing was that we noticed I don't know, it's weird when you play a VR game it's really like everything is zoomed up. You really get much closer to everything, and that's why Matthias developed this kind of like detail map that sort of fades up. Maybe you want to talk about how that one works.
Yeah, I mean, using a packed map we did lots of experiments, of course, and so it's fading out. So now you don't see it at all. Now it's just a photogrammetry textures, and as you zoom in, like now, I don't know the quality of the stream, but at this point you can clearly see it, and maybe I can even show the material. Let's go Darkhead. I know. And let me have this one as preview. Yeah. Detail or packed detail. We had a few different detail maps on the way. But actually these, I think Kenneth made them. But packed detail, yeah, here it is. So actually it has like a dry wet setting. So here is the here we have just textures. So it's kind of completely broken up, and with the detail map, you have some detail.
Interesting.
And now I have my nose in it. But the problem is if you have to fade it out. So, but that's just a depth fade, or like you see fade. So that was the kind of a challenge with all the models, just finding the right distance, because we use the same materials for flat screen and VR. But just, I mean, same for like if you do LODs and stuff, it's just like zoom in and out, find the optimal spots. That's just like some craft. But what we did also, since we already had a texture issue, like with the memory wise, we want to have a packed map. So it's let's see if we can open it. This one I used a lot. And let's go. So I think normal was the RNG, not sure. And this is the roughness variation, and no, this is probably roughness variation. I don't remember actually. But what we did was we mapped out, like I used a 3-point gradient to map out the different the 3 different colors. Here we just have kind of grayscale stuff, but also I think it's good for make it easier to use for artists. I try to add like debug stuff to make it easier doing the settings. So now I have the debug colors, which is just kind of red, green, and blue. And for one thing, you can see when it fades in clearly, so you can really determine that. But also, like the different textures have different ranges, so how to find kind of where to, like if you have it like 0 to 1, for instance, this texture, you only see the red, so we will not have any detail to the color. So you have to find the kind of luma range of the. So when you see a little bit of blue, a little bit of green, and a little bit of red, you're gonna get your color variations in your detail map like this. And I mean, different settings for different models, of course. I mean, a rock or whatever. But we try to use kind of variations of the asset color. And another thing was and a normal. Let's fire it up. Yeah, I can't see it much, but anyway. I love the flat and normal node. Use it all the time. What more? Yeah, I mean, I can actually jump into the material. Maybe we have some other nerdy people here, so I can have some use.
The lunar normals that we used is interesting too, I thought.
Yeah.
I want to work
Let's
out well.
go.
As many
There we go.
details as you want to give us about it, we're excited to see. So.
Yeah. Like, so here's the master material. And it's we use it for like 90% of all the assets. And like to start, let's find the detail normal. Here we go. No, not the detail normal. The packed detail normal. I haven't been
Your
here for a
setup
while.
is so much easier to navigate than mine are. Like I'm in awe actually of how clean this is.
Yeah.
That's until you open Matthias's blueprints. This is just his material nodes. I'm kidding. They're very clean as well.
It's messy, but actually I can't even. Yeah, maybe it's a node. Yeah, so I can. This one maybe look unfamiliar to a lot of people, but so this was the old stuff we started with. We don't even use the kind of detail normal that's here. It's turned off. So I use a lot of static switches, of course, to turn stuff off that's not used. And then we started. Okay, we need to make material functions. Snow was the first one. We'll start making the third level, Coolhaven. But then I realized, why not just input material and output material? Because it all happens in a serial manner anyway. You can't do it in parallel. It's still, the emissive is going to be affected one step at a time, or the normal, or whatever. So I started making these material functions just in material, out material. And that worked really well, because when you debug, you can know, like, yeah, the glow in the dark is not showing because this other thing is happening after. So it actually made it really easy to work with. And here's the packed detail map. Yeah, no. So where is my texture? Yeah, so here's the in material. And then if you turn it off, it does nothing. It just goes straight through. And if you turn it on, it does a lot of stuff. Let's go. Yeah, so UVs actually have rotation in it, because some of the assets really benefited from having like diagonal maps and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true.
We have a triplanar option too for some stuff. If you had kind of ugly UV seam or something, whatever, you could use the detail map to have it triplanar and cover it up. Not that we had any UV seams, but anyway. Where's the texture? Yeah, here it is. So same here, but as you can tell, it has completely different range. So that's why I did all these remaps. Oh, okay, what happened there? Back to the material. I have so many tabs. I need to close some stuff here. Yeah, here. Back detail. Yeah, so for the pack detail, I affect, if you want to, base color, normal, roughness, and specular. And I like these name reroutes a lot. Makes it easier. And yeah, like here's the fade. Node not connected. And remap, like remaps everywhere. What more? Yeah, I mean, it's always tricky to modulate values, and I mean, it depends what it is, of course. Not sure how deep I'm gonna go on this, since I'm just haven't been here for a while. Yeah, but I mean, anyway. So here, if you do the triplanar, that's why I use the texture object as a parameter instead, because then I can, if it's like a regular UV, I just do texture sample, and if it's triplanar, I get my triplanar function here, and that does this stuff, you know. And then we break out all the components of the texture. And of course, it's really important if you do stuff like this, you should not use like sRGB. You should use like linear or masks to get the values correct if you get them from, I don't know, Substance or something else. Because it's not color. Yeah, actually normal was G and B. I named these guys. I don't know. Always a challenge when you do like packed maps. You name them like AONMMR or something.
As long as you know what it stands for, that's all.
But that's the problem. I don't know. I made a new one this week. It was really hard to name it. But anyway, I just extract the channels from the map and I use them like this one. The base color, for instance. I like to use like power, even though it's sort of expensive. I heard that 4, at least in GLSL, 4 multiplies equals 1 power. But this all ran really fast, and GPU was not our problem. It was more like texture memory and stuff like that. Where's my gradient? Yeah, so here's the gradient. So I just I used the actual value from the texture to drive this 3-color blend to get not only like light and dark variation, but also getting some color into the mix.
Yeah.
And like use debug colors, use debugs everywhere. Fake subsurface emissive stuff. This one is used a lot. Dissolve effects, highlights. Yeah, if you see something or highlight it. Match burn. Yeah, so since we used the same master material for almost everything, we ended up having a lot of material functions.
Yes, it was a huge
but
list.
I mean, but since they're just like pass through, it doesn't cost anything in the GPU when you have compiled it, which is great.
Cool.
And we even use it like to clip off stuff, make hole in the landscape. They all use the RVT, like using runtime virtual textures to blend into the ground landscape, which is great.
Oh yeah, that was amazing actually. That feature was really cool. Yeah.
And we have some wobbler stuff to make stuff move, like well position offset stuff.
Snow?
Well, snow we have. Oh, this is the wobbler. So I mean, if you if you imagine like all these guys are kind of like this, some are simpler, but you know, there's some stuff in here, and you get all of these. So, but I mean, in 99% of cases, like none of the assets use all the nodes, so it's like
sure,
and they all have switches to turn them off.
Yeah.
So the snow, if we have had the monolith up, or did I close it? Maybe. I love this one. It's Olof's shoe.
Actually, yeah. I took Olof's shoe and I dipped it in clay and then I scanned it. But I gave it back to him really clean, nice. He was so happy. It never been that clean before. Thank you. I actually totally polished it after.
Yeah. And it should be mentioned, I mean, the better the phone you use with Polycam, the better the result. So I think it was this one is not the one in the game. Yeah.
No, there's some you get some issues with it, but at the same time, it's like once you put everything together in Unreal and all the effects and everything is on, it's sort of like you don't really notice all the. I think it turned out really well together. Because even if something is a little bit blurred in a scan, it still gets the kind of coloring tone of it, and it makes it sort of realistic in a way. I think, and this one turned out really well.
The pumpkins.
Yeah.
And I mean here, it's not always true. It's like a cheat to use the Luma as for roughness and everything else, of course. But it does the trick, I think. So when you get something, you just decide like, is the dark stuff going to be shiny or is the light stuff going to be shiny? And then you go with that and, get the
We did.
style.
I think we did do some Substance Painter stuff on a couple of models, but we ended up using this the mostly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because then since we had the texture issue too, then we had like base color just branching out to everything, remapping it.
Cool.
Yeah. My throat is getting dry. Someone else want to talk?
Well, yeah, I mean, I really enjoy seeing that process because that was definitely one of my biggest questions, especially going into it, was if all of this is scanned and brought in, how are you handling basically bespoke textures for every single thing while managing memory? And this is a really good insight into kind of how to approach that and make sure it keeps that level of detail and that grittiness that it needs in a way that also still optimized and still performs quite well. So
Yeah, and I mean, just asset-wise, that was perhaps one of the best things about the tool I set up in Houdini, that it named everything. Like you just put in the base name of the asset you wanted, and it named everything like static mesh, game res, texture, base color, whatever. So everything was named the same and ended up in a folder neatly. So and that's a huge thing, because if you have textures that are like misspelled compared to the mesh, you can't find them, and it's like that made it a lot easier.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So make some tools.
Yeah. Well,
Pipeline stuff is not so fun, but it's great to have.
yeah, for sure. It's good to be able to organize and know where you're going, what you're looking for sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
when you spend so much time like looking for stuff, you need to change something.
yeah, definitely. And this is all such a great look at one of the things that stands out as very unique, of course, is the visuals of the game, but there's also just some technical aspects of different gameplay and different kinds of programming that went into it that I also want to explore a little bit too. Because as y'all mentioned, of course, this is available both for playing on flat screen and in VR. I'm sure there were many hurdles that came with making that fully applicable in both instances. And then also just some really unique gameplay experiences too that I don't want to I'm trying to be vague while also asking the questions correctly, but there's some really interesting ways where you actually kind of close your eyes while in game, right? And you have to just listen in to get hints about what's going on around you. Lots of really unique gameplay aspects of it too that I just want to know everything about it. I want to know about some of those aspects as well.
Yeah, I think I could start out saying, I think Joe, you can take over. Of course, you're the one who really did it. Initially, it was really like the pitch was really. I think I talked to Ola about that really early on. There's like, if we really could make the game on PS5 just one SKU, so it's just one PS5 game, and if you have a VR headset, you could just switch over to VR at any time. That would be the most perfect situation. And we kind of ended up having that, so I'm super happy about that. So basically, in the menu of PS5, it basically says switch to VR or switch back to flat, which is really, really unique, I think. Also, of course, works really well on PlayStation. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it was like, because PSVR 2 has like eye tracking, we thought like they really wanted us to figure out a way to do a game design that helped the eye tracking. And a lot of people, of course, just use it to look at things or something like that, but we thought, oh, can we check if you're actually blinking, if you're closing your eyes for real? And you could, and I was like, oh, cool. So then we thought, like, what if you had a game mechanic where basically if you close your eyes, the sounds of the world would sort of enhance and you would hear things better, So you could hear where secrets are, you could hear where the monsters are crawling around. And that actually developed into, basically because it worked so well, was like, what if you're like, I think it was our lead designer, Martin, who was like, what if you can blink on some kind of objects, then the world will sort of change. So when you open up your eyes again, everything has sort of merged into something else. And then Pontus, who's also one of our programmers slash game designers, he thought, like, what if you take one of those eyes and put them directly on a monster? So we ended up having monsters that sort of run towards you, and you didn't have to blink on them to disappear, So, and that's, we thought, that's probably just fun in VR, but we ended up being actually really cool in flat too. So we kept it, and I think that it was pretty cool to see that we could sort of make sure that the game mechanics worked on both sides, and it still turned out really well.
Yeah.
And I feel like the interesting thing is that we turned design upside down in a way. It's like we got the hardware because we knew it from the beginning
Yeah.
Like PSVR 2 was kind of the main VR headset that we were aiming for. It's like, here's the hardware, these are the specs, this is how the eye tracking works, and we just built up mechanics with that instead. So the eye tracking idea and the design came directly just from the PSVR 2 eye tracking.
And then that turned into like a really cool flat screen design too.
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of inspired the whole game in a way. Just it's nice.
Yeah. I actually, when I played through it, I played it on flat screen because I'm too much of a chicken for VR. So I was actually unaware that that mechanic literally works from you literally blinking on the VR version. That's insane.
Yeah, and it's very weird to do it in real because it's something you never do when you play a game. You don't just like, I'm gonna close my eyes in the middle of the game for real, and it feels like you're really, you're left out. You have no control of what's going on in the real world,
It's unnatural, but in a good way. You feel like you really lose control, can't see anything. And then Ola did an amazing job with the sounds, and you can hear them. You can still hear the monsters and the cues and everything. It's very eerie.
Yes. Yeah. Eerie is the best word for it, for sure. So when it came to aspects like that, was that originally made? Did you start with the VR version and then adapt it over to the flat screen, or what was the process for figuring it out for both?
Yeah, I think the first prototypes were flat screen, I think, but it was always developed side by side. So we never went full flat screen, and then the VR kind of came later. So both platforms, both versions, always worked at the same time.
Yeah, but I would say that we had like a period pretty early where we were going for the VR version more.
So we were looking at the text. I think we were looking at the frame rate for a while and see if we could get that to be okay, wasn't it also? I remember we did a demo.
Yeah. I mean, the vertical or like the art slice was in VR, PSVR 2. That was like the second milestone or something, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's the one that was probably we're mostly worried about because it has to have a really high frame rate, of course, VR. And so we had to make sure. Yeah, I mean,
that one was running really fast actually, and we decided early on. I mean, this game is rendered in forward shading, so like really early on we had these. Since we started working on the art slice in VR, PSVR 2, like almost from the start, it was like we realized that we can't go deferred shading because we can't get to 120 in 4K or like in double on the PSVR 2. So we decided to go forward shading, and also with the limitation of only having like 4 shadow casting lights, because after a very short discussion with Klaus, like, should we bake light or should we have, what you see is what you get? And that was less. Since it's such a like art-centric project, having the artist being able to place all the lights and everything looks exactly like in-game, that was so much better than having like a complicated lighting algorithm that you don't know how it's going to show up. So me personally, I don't do baked lighting, which I was really happy that Klaus didn't want that.
Yeah, no, I've had other projects with that. It's horrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like the beauty of real time to me is that what you see is what what you see is what you get. I mean, I did so much rendered 3D like first part of my career, and it was like press render, go get a coffee, or even go to bed.
Go enjoy your day.
Wake up in the middle of the night and realize it's crashed.
Yeah. So I mean, like being able to work with these limitations, like doing having a really fast render pipe and accepting the limitation of 4 shadow casting lights, that was the kind of a issue sometimes, but still less than we had anticipated, I think.
I also say, to go back to the VR thing, I would say, I mean, Zhao probably gonna. Zhao, do you have some of the stuff all the other stuff you did that didn't get in?
I have some things that didn't get in.
Yeah,
I could show some videos, initial videos.
But that's what I was thinking also. Like pretty like in the early development, we did a lot of VR stuff, and we had a lot of mechanics that we that really wanted to use and try out, and that didn't make it till the end game.
Yeah.
And I think it's mainly because of design, also in some ways, you know.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that definitely remained, and that was a kind of a goal from the beginning, was to have physical hands, because we had this idea, I mean, to try to emulate as much as possible, like holding these models like you do in real life, because it just felt so cool to do it in real life. Like we just really wanted to do it like VR needs to feel the same. So that made it to the end game. Like the hands are fully physical. They're using a PID controller, which is actually inspired by another Unreal game, the Walking Dead Saints and Sinners.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. But some things that didn't make it was this. Am I sharing screen, by the way? I think.
There we go.
Yeah, but we had ideas for these. So this is an initial prototype of having finger tracing in real time. Because that's another idea that we had, like kind of that we wanted it to look like you were actually touching the objects.
Right.
And we had ideas for the haptics also to emulate that as well. So some of this made it, but kind of more of a hybrid version. So it's not completely full finger tracing in the end game. And this
it reminds of a face hugger in Alien.
Yeah, the movements are very.
It is the similar thing with the prediction for the finger tracing version as well. Yeah, the ghost version of it. Then I think we have some of the actual physics. These made it mostly to the game. So the hands are fully physical. You can actually grab things, throw them around. You can grab the matchlock and shoot, and that's fully physical based as well. Or these hint notes that Klaus mentioned earlier. Like these actually, I love the feel of grabbing these, to be honest, because you can actually see all the details when you grab them and look around, and it feels like you're holding a piece of paper.
And then you just throw it.
You just throw it. Sorry, I hate it actually.
It goes automatically to the inventory anyway. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but the hybrid version that we went to, it's what you usually do in a VR game, having preset sockets on objects, which we just set up in Blueprint basically. So we put sockets for every object.
But there's a lot of work that was put into making both when you think about it.
Yeah.
And
again, some of the physics as well for doors and hatches and drawers and all types of things.
I do have to say, I really did enjoy how interactable the world was. It didn't feel like there were really any parts of the game where you couldn't interact with something around you at any given point in time.
I think, if it had been a VR game, it would have probably focused a lot. Only VR game would have probably focused a lot more on sort of like closer sort of puzzles that are just with your hands and so on. But because you can't really do that on flat, we had to sort of cut down a little bit back on that. That's of course a challenge when you do both, and the game has to work the same way, you know.
Exactly. I actually have some more dead features here.
Go.
We also had some. I initially had some ideas for being able to send Potboy using actual gestures.
Oh yeah, I remember
so we
that.
made this whole. Hey, you might even you forgot about this. A lot of work was put into this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But in my original pitch, there was actually you could talk to him even. We wanted to.
I remember.
Actually, be able to talk to him.
Scream at him.
Yeah, go. It was that's why he if you Potboy, when he lights up a fire, he says "foo." And that was supposed to be what you were supposed to tell him. It was supposed to be his language, basically. You tell him to do.
That's so cool.
That reminds me also, we actually did try with the voice commands also. We
tried a few versions of this, I think.
Yeah.
I think this was the first one, was actually using the VR controller. So I made this tool so you can kind of train a model how that gesture is supposed to look like. Here I'm just trying it out with a simple circle. And yeah, you train the model, you save these positions, and then, oops, let me see if I can get there. I think here I'm just controlling a cube movement just by swiping it left and right, using these gestures.
Cool. Nice.
The force is strong.
Yeah. And here it is, the final or this final prototype, actually gesturing Potboy to do things. I think in this case, it's just the go and the kind of return. I think the main issue with the system was that it was gated, and I was really struggling to make it kind of like dynamically detect a gesture at any time. So basically, in this version, you actually need to press a button to start identifying the gesture, and then you finish it, and that sends it in to compare it with all the gestures that are saved. But it was tough to make it both performant and just reliable to work in runtime, like without actually having to press any input.
Right. I can't even begin to imagine how difficult it is to maintain a reasonable scope on a project like this in all aspects. Because I don't think there's a single part of what you have described, from making the actual models all the way to having both versions, VR and flat screen, with all these potentials of gestures and voice commands and stuff. How do you manage to keep it into this containable scope that you did ultimately do? So kudos there. I probably would have never been able to get this project across the finish line because I would have constantly been adding things.
Well, it wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't at all. I don't know how we managed.
No.
I mean, kill your darlings happened a few times, right?
Yeah, and lots of psychotherapy afterwards.
I definitely think that the toughest part with this project was it was really that there was both VR and flat at the same time, because it's really hard to manage that. There's so
and
many
PC and PSVR too, also.
Yes, PC
so
and
actually 4 and target platforms.
Pure SKUs in a way, yeah. So
but a lot of these things that you don't think about. I mean, just like Matthias with all these packed maps and actually having to look good when you're super close to it. I mean, that's something you can easily do in flat screen. Maybe just do a collider and you can get that close to that object.
Yep.
But in VR, you can put your head close to anything. Basically, you can grab an item and grab a key.
Yeah, just like it's in
right
your face like this. Yeah.
So things just have to look good.
It's really like you put this kind of like giant, microscope on everything, zoom everything up.
Yeah, I think that was probably something that we kind of really didn't realize when we started the project, like all the things you can actually do in VR. Kind of just like with everything, with the physics and how close you can go to get to stuff, and all that stuff was like, we really need to figure this out. And
and even in the interactions, like audio-wise, like opening a wardrobe in VR, the audio needs to be so dynamic because you can just like do whatever you want with it. You can just play with it, and with the matchlock as well, we have this kind of gun in the game, which is kind of like a bow that you pull, and the player can just do whatever you want with it. So
and you can you can sneak look out of it. Also at the closet, you could there's a lot of interaction.
And keeping track of the capsule. I mean, if the player moves in the room or using the movement keys and all that stuff too.
Yeah. Also, if you put your head inside an object, remember that that whole thing? Maybe that's what you meant. Yeah.
And me and Joao, we did a lot of experimentation with that, like what Matthias just said about like the player moving in the room while not moving with the hand controls, and how to, like, if you're leaning into a table, how should we do, like, you can never freeze the camera and stuff like that, because then you get nausea from the player. And there was a lot of those
small a lot of small design decisions. Like you put your head through something. Does it push you away? Does it kind of like fade to black? Put some another effect on top of it,
or fade and push you away,
or both. They can. There's so many these small decisions to make that sometimes you don't think of.
I was also thinking about there's also the whole aspect of haptics, because there's the haptics on PS5, of course, there's the haptics under control, which is quite complicated. And there's a different type of haptics on the PSVR, PSVR 2. So it's like, one more kind of haptics thing you have to go through, and which one are we using there? And of course, it was a PlayStation, mostly PlayStation game in a way, so we really wanted to support all of that.
Yeah.
Regarding VR2, I just came to think about the end scene, like after the finish, when the giant walks away with his daughter and all this. Like for a long time, if you followed him, looked around, actually walked away, and then the animation ended and went into T-pose. It was like
I mean that's another thing.
breaking,
You can hide things with smoke and mirrors as easily. Like you can just see everything still.
Like in a flat screen animation, because sometimes they were done on the computer screen, of course, and nobody really looked at it in VR, and you realize that just like, okay, I just took the models, I scaled them down, I put them here for that camera angle. But then when you look at it in VR, you see it's not the right size scale, because your eyes can see the size scale is off suddenly, which you don't really see on the flat screen, So you can sort of fake it in flat, but it comes out as weird in VR.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
There was a bunch of scaling issues when we had done concept levels.
Yeah.
And also with like the player height changed for some reason, and like you were really large or really small, and on different platforms. So something happens, like you have the whatever, like the root or center or camera height or all this stuff. I mean, the kind of interface to the hardware is also an issue sometimes.
Yeah, that was also a problem we had, VR in VR with the crouching. So if the player was crouching, and if the player started to crouch for real in the room, like physically and stuff
At
like
the same
that,
time as press crouch. Yeah.
It was a lot of these small like problems that just occurred that we haven't thought of, and.
So what I'm hearing is there was a lot of testing. Back and forth testing.
A lot of testing.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that one for sure. Yeah.
And then
for
also,
anyone, go.
Yeah, and also when you found like a way to do it in VR, we need to find another way to do it in flat screen, because the VR functionality didn't work. It was a lot of those also.
Yeah.
Now I actually remembered, like all of the cutscenes are different in VR mostly. Like we had to build on top a different system for VR, because obviously extreme movement in VR causes nausea. So it's not like we could just use the same cameras as we do in flat screen. So those, it was a lot of work on that as well. Again, you really felt like working in two different games a lot of times.
Yeah.
A lot of systems had to be doubled.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine. I'm sure there were so many aspects of that you've got to be proud of it now with the final version of it completed and finished. I mean, it is a remarkable game all the way through, and now I need to go back and play it through VR is what I'm hearing, so I can fully appreciate
need to do it.
all of the work that went into it.
Yeah. And Olof, you did
you.
everything in binaural sounds also because of VR. Wasn't that because of VR that you did it?
We had a long discussion about it. I'm not a fan of using like binaural plugins. I don't think they sound as good. I think they are more gimmicky than good actually. But we ended up using binaural audio in VR, and also headphones on flat screen. But you can turn it off if you are using speakers, though. But, and that was also a hassle. Actually, it was pretty tedious work to like because with the binaural plugins, they are always like messing with the original audio files. So like when you made a sound that you were like fond of and ready to export it into or import it into Unreal, and with the binaural plugin, it ended up sounding totally different. So you had like go back and try to figure out how to actually make this sound the way I want it, but with the binaural stuff. And we also ended up doing a lot of double versions of audio for like if you turn the binaural plugin off, we had more flat screen sound, so to speak, or I do a lot of that. But I think in hindsight, I think the binaural stuff sounded decent, at least.
I mean, I think it sounds
it works really well in VR, of course.
Yeah.
Works
really
VR
well.
is really interesting, yeah.
And also, at some sounds we didn't use binaural on at all. Instead we did like a lot of stuff in meta sounds instead. That we used the attenuation parameters to do some filterings and stuff like, and looking at the azimuth of where the sound is. According to the listener and stuff like that. So we did a lot of filtering by ourselves to, kind of mimic.
Meta sounds is cool.
Yeah, actually it is. I really like meta sounds. It's a great addition.
Whole game is built on meta sounds.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I'm biased. I feel like any opinion I get from here is
I can talk about that later.
But also,
we'll get the feedback. We'll hand it to the audio team. I'm sure they'll be very calm and chill about it for sure.
Yeah. No, but actually, we for this game we did go with. We don't have any middleware for the audio. We are doing everything native in Unreal, so we are using just meta sounds for everything.
Wow!
And it worked out pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a kind of a fun setup we have, I think, at the studio, that you are the lead programmer and you're the lead sound designer.
Yeah.
It's quite unusual. But I think it really helped for this project specifically because it is quite sound focused in a lot of ways. Also because of the blinking with your eyes. Of course, you made all these tools that you sort of enhances different sounds in the world, and of course, the binaural and yeah.
We did a lot of technical solutions for the audio. So it helps that I know a little bit of programming, at least.
Yeah, it's good to know.
Yeah. I mean, it was not just blinking. It was like closed eyes gave you clues. It was kind of a parallel universe type thing. Not universe, maybe, but parallel world.
Yeah.
So you could figure some out, like get hints on where you could hear like other sounds better. So it was quite interesting to close your eyes, and it was like you could figure out like where is it, if it was like 100 drawers to look through or something.
It was mechanic that actually like just got bigger and bigger. I mean, the heightened senses mechanic from the start, it was just like you should be able to like close your eyes and then everything should like go silent, and you should be able to listen for enemies. That was like the basic idea, right?
I think I have, if you share my screen, you can see I have the original pitch here. One of the original pitch. And I don't know if you see this. Are you seeing my screen?
There we go.
Yeah.
So there's like, here's a Valkyrie that steals a key and runs her off with the little key like that, and it's go ding, 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 and then it runs into a forest, and you're like, where is it? And you basically have to close your eyes and sort of sharpen your hearing and then track it down by listening to where it is, So, oh, it's hidden in this one, It
Yeah,
kinda,
that was actually the first thing we did with heightened senses. You could listen for a magic key,
keys.
right?
Yeah.
That was it. And then we start to add like you can listen for monsters, but then we added like now we can listen for this and that.
and suddenly it's like, I can't hear where it is anymore.
No,
there's too many sounds.
Yeah, so we had to like start making some tools for like some kind of occlusion, or like not occlusion, but some kind of culling system for which sounds can we actually hear from this point, at least, because there was so many different things we could listen for in the end.
Yeah.
I also remember seeing some clever solutions from the designers. Like in Coalhaven, for example, like kind of like the sounds moving away so you could follow it. But I mean, you couldn't really tell, but it just kind of help you guide. So there's been some clever solutions as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. And I mean, the mechanic of listening to monsters, I both thank you and curse you all for, because the amount of times that I just cowered in a wardrobe is probably too much of the gameplay from my end. Was me doing that. Not your fault. Me just being too scared to do anything else, but
not even peeking, just in case.
Yeah, peek every once in a while, and then get horrified by the creepy things lurking outside, and then just wait for another 20 minutes until I get the courage to peek again.
Cool. Finally, our game is like 16 hours long.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many different parts of this that we could keep talking about this for hours and hours, and I would still have more questions because it is such a unique and interesting project, and the way that you all approach different aspects to it is very, not to just overuse this word, but it is very unique to just this game. Like there's nothing else exactly like this anywhere. With that in mind, I will not make you sit here for the next 8 hours and answer every single question that I have. But we do have some from chat that we've been collecting throughout. So if you're open, I would love to ask some of the questions that they've had so far. And pepper in a few of my own. I'll be a little selfish here or there.
Cool.
But the first one to just kind of kick us off is they're curious individually. So I guess we can go one by one. What is your favorite thing in the game? And it can be across any systems. It could be something you made or something someone else made. Just what is your favorite little thing that you can pick from the game?
I would say the shooting puzzle in Craftsman, like in level 4. That I don't know. I think Pontus and Kenneth made it. The one where you hide from the witch with the shotgun.
Oh yeah,
with
the
all
light,
these kind
the light
of
thing?
cardboard things coming up.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like going from 3D back to 2D. We had all these kind of cardboard figures of like I don't know, target practice signs that were
Yeah.
That was my favorite puzzle.
Yeah, it's cool play with shadows too. Yeah, the whole shadow effects. Yeah, it was nice. Yeah.
I think for me, it's not even a puzzle or it's just a whole area, Headville. I just love it. I love the whole Headville vibe. I love the characters. I love the animations when you light up the fireplace in the beginning or in the middle. Just the whole Headville. But systems-wise, I love my VR hands, my physical VR hands.
That we cut out. No.
Some of it made it. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, not sure. I really like Craftsman's Heart, the Craftsman level. I think it's beautiful, and it's really nice to. I think the greeners turned out really, really well. So I really like those characters, and it's super scary to walk in those alleys.
That's funny. I was gonna say the
and
same.
when you can hear them from far away, and they are lurking. Yeah. I think that whole vibe did work out super good. That's my favorite, I think.
Yeah, that was really late. Like the bomb kind of action. That when they see you, they start ticking faster and faster, and then
that was a
they
late
kind of
design, actually. Yeah.
Really late.
Yeah, I would probably say the same. I think there's one part in Craftman's Heart where it really got like cool action stuff, where you're hiding under the giant typewriter, and then Pontus and me made this other area that came right after, where you're sort of running around this little kind of village area where you can run in and hide into these small houses almost. And it was nice that you could hide in something else in closets, and you could sort of be inside a house and sort of look out at the house and see them passing by, and then running over to the next one, and sort of like that area was really cool. Other than that, I'm going to be really cheesy and say the best part with making this game was the team. It was a really cool team.
Stop it.
Yeah.
You're not worth it.
It was it was really I mean, yeah, it's really cool. It's been very, very, very good team, actually. Very good team spirit through the whole project, which is not, that's not always the way it is. And I think that's one of the reasons why it turned out so well, because everybody's really working so well together in a way. Yeah, so it was very nice.
Yeah, I liked everybody except Joao, actually.
I know.
No, Joao, I love you. You know that.
Yeah, there was clearly a lot of love and effort put into this project, and it very much comes through in the end product for sure.
And that is inspiring for us as well, by the way. I mean, you see people outside of the project now saying they love the game, they love the art style, but for us, like working with this every day, it's still inspiring. Like, we love to see it. And I don't work in the office every day. Like, I work remote. So I don't go to the office as often as I would like to, but every time I go, it's just kind of surreal, seeing the models, seeing everything. It is still a very unique experience.
Yeah, and we also had a lot of this, like me, I'm also not at the office that often. I'm working from home, mostly in my studio. So, but we always had this, like me and Joao, we could sit down on Discord, and Joao could have like input on the audio, and I can have like input on stuff we did with the VR, and we like new ideas was born, and it was a very creative process. Like we had that, me and you, Matthias, we had a lot of discussions about that too, and I think
Ola is a great rubber duck.
Yeah.
I have some problems, sit with it for an hour, then I call Ola, and we just talk about something else, and then it's solved.
Yeah.
Nice little break, stepping back from it for a little bit.
Yeah.
That is awesome. In a sort of similar vein, someone from chat was curious what your favorite feature or character that couldn't make it into the game was, if you can talk about it.
I can start. I think we actually cut a whole chapter, or cut it down a lot. So there was a whole chapter, a whole story that we had to cut out, which I thought was we even built all the characters for it. So we have a whole family that got cut. Which so there's like not to spoil too much, but you remember there's this kind of funky aunt that you meet, and then the auntie who's like has like a well, she's Auntie Merkel, I think she's called, or something like that. So that's the aunt, but there's actually a mom and a dad and a son and an old grandma who all cut out of the game. I thought that was really sad.
Yeah. And we had like voice acting and everything for them. Like
yeah. But there'll be other games, maybe.
Yeah.
They can come back.
They might come back.
Scope is brutal.
Yeah, it is. I have one like audio thing that was cut also. We had this feature in VR with the shell phones, which I liked because it turned out pretty well. And because shell phones, for those who haven't played the game, is like some small shells that you find with messages or hints or lore in it, so you can listen to them and you will hear like old recordings. And in VR, we did a kind of that if you held it far away, you couldn't hear what it says. You just hear this like echoing sound inside the shell. So you had to actually put it to your ear in VR to actually hear the sound clear. So it sounded like an old kind of what do you call it? Gramophone, like this old gramophone.
Yeah. So you actually physically hold it up here to actually hear it. You
Yeah.
can just hold it out here in a way. Yeah.
But we had to cut that because no one, when we had like playtesters, no one understood that.
They're just like, it doesn't sound like
So
anything.
it's
I'm
like,
gonna throw it away.
What is this? It's just some weird murmuring sound. So
yeah.
I think that for me, like the 3D crawler that we were thinking about, like having it come crawling like in the roof or coming down the cliffs or whatever, that'd be cool. But yeah, 3D nav mesh is hard.
Exactly. Yeah, for me, I don't have anything specific, just some of the VR cuts and VR interactions. I remember we had this kind of like the key interaction when you put it in the actual keyhole for the gates.
Yeah.
And it was something physical that you actually had to do and turn.
Turn it, for real, yeah.
We ended up just simplifying it and just kind of throw it in and then an animation plays. But just some small cuts here and there, but necessary, of course.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm glad you actually did also bring up the playtesting because I'm curious about how that process went for you all as well. Did you do playtests like outside of just testing it yourselves, of course, as you're making it, but how often did you do playtests throughout the development process?
So we had Fast Travel Games were our publisher, and they had a girl, I can't remember her last name now, but Amanda, who was in charge of the playtests, and I think she did 3 playtests or something like that. We did 3 different versions of it. She's really good with that, and it's always about finding, of course, the right type of player also, so you kind of know that they're into this kind of type of game and so on. But yeah, I mean, I think we did it 3 times towards the end or something like that, and then I remember, I don't know if you guys remember that we ended up testing it a lot before Christmas. One Christmas,
Yeah.
and we went totally crazy with that, and I had a lot of issues with a lot of levels that had to be redesigned, and me and Pontus went berserk on that for a while and tried to fix everything. But playtesting is super important, I think it's actually one of the most important things when you make a game to make sure that it really works well, because there's so many things you just think, I don't know, we always think that they're gonna get it, understand it, but they don't, and you have an idea, especially when you have sort of puzzles and things like that. We had one, I don't know if there's one puzzle where you have to light some candles, for example. I think we did like 6 different versions of that one until we found the right one to get people to understand it and then figure it out, and it wasn't too hard. So yeah.
Yeah, and we also have the QA studio, Lionbridge, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's true. Yeah.
And they did actually a lot of playtesting. And then we had some people coming to the studio, like friends and stuff that tested.
Yeah. A lot of that. We brought in a lot of people that we knew from outside and tried to get them to be honest. Which is hard.
Yeah, but it was actually interesting because we had like all kinds of like different kinds of players, so to speak. Like we had people who wasn't gamers at all that tried out the game. It was very interesting to see how they played the game versus people who were actually like experienced gamers, and we could take notes about that.
Some people
I feel
were
like
just
it's easy. Yeah.
Yeah, so go ahead.
I feel like it's easy to get in your head as well at times. Like we would see like people that weren't used to maybe twin stick movement, for example, like moving with the right stick, your camera. And I remember we talked about this class, like maybe trying to figure out a solution of like making it easier for those people. Like you just kind of get in, it gets in your head a bit, and you just really try to cater to as many people as possible. But that's also very hard, of course.
I know. My wife can't play the game. She just goes like into the wall like that.
Just looking at the ground.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of sad. But that's just how it is.
Oh, it is sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, this is awesome overall. I mean, like I said, the project itself is incredible. There's so much unique about it. I can't recommend enough that everyone who's watching, if you're interested, you go and actually play the game for yourselves because it is such a very individualistic experience. I have not played a game like this ever before, honestly, and it is
Yeah.
like not just saying it, it is also genuinely one of my favorite games that has come out in the past few years, not even just this past one. It's amazing. The story is incredible, the visuals are incredible. Knowing more about the process of how it was made has only made it even more impressive to me. So first and foremost, just thank you all for being here and for chatting about it with us and giving us a little bit of that peek behind the curtain and learning about the process. Really appreciate you taking the time to walk through it with us and answering some of our questions.
Well, yeah,
Thank you.
Thank
Really a
you.
pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks for the words.
Yeah.
It's really fun to talk about it again because I forgot so many things about it. So it's been really fun for us, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but, it was like before this, I was looking through the project. It was the first time since we released it almost, and it's like if I was going to show something, and I was like, it was hard to find the stuff, and it's like, oh, did we do this? Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's so funny because you just when you're done with the project, you're so tired of it. You just want to get away with it. But then it goes like 6 months of that. You look at it again, and you're like, hey, we did pretty good here. Yeah.
This was good actually. We did that. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you all so much for being here and for walking through the project and showing us a little bit more about it. For anyone that came to watch the show, if you came in partway through or you missed something, or you just want to go back and rewatch some of it, maybe pick up some details that you might have missed the first time through, no worries, because we post all of our streams in video format that can be viewed on demand on both our Twitch and YouTube channel at Unreal Engine. You can also keep up with us at Unreal Engine on all of our socials to keep up with the latest news, updates, and all that good stuff. And then last but certainly not least, if you haven't already, I highly recommend that you go join us over on the Epic developer community. That's where we house pretty much everything you could ever need in regards to the engine. We have our forums where you can meet like-minded developers, get questions answered, all that kind of good stuff. It's also where we house our documentation for the engine. Plus, it's also where you can get resources through both tutorials made by us, Epic staff, as well as wonderful community members, and lots more. So we've also just recently added our own AI assistant to the Epic developer community as well, which is specifically there to help you with questions that you might have about Unreal Engine. So go check it out, play around with it. It's very new. So let us know what you think about it. Test it out and tell us your feedback. But otherwise, we hope you have enjoyed the show. We hope we'll see you back again later. And before we wrap up, we're going to play the incredible trailer of this game just one more time in case anyone missed it the first time around. But with that, one last big thank you to our wonderful, incredible guests. And thank you everyone for watching. And I'll see y'all later. Thanks so much, everybody.
Dreadful was the day when the sun vanished. The waters dried up, birds went quiet, and the dark itself seeped unchecked into the work table. The night that followed would be long. As long as the midnight walk.
How could this happen? Oh, the flame warms the righteous, but the wicked, the flame burns with a passion.
What is the dark? Is it ugly and cruel? Is it a place for fools lost in the woods?
This little flame, keep them nurtured and safe through the rain, in the dark, and over Moon Mountain.
The dark itself is the key. All
ステーション